What's going on, YouTube? Back here for build day number 10, and just wanted to recap of some stuff I'd done here over the past week. As you can see, got some stuff put in, and she's looking more and more complete every day. So I went ahead, got the engine mounted in, and as well as the oil reservoir, or oil cooler I should say. Got that all ready. Got the axles put in. They're just the standard straight steel axles, steel rod. The back, though, is kind of interesting because I was having some problems with the wheel well design. The way that the wheel well is cut in here at the top, if you use the top hole, which is what I wanted for the lower stance, the axle was too short by a good quarter of an inch at least. And it caused it to where once if the tires were fully into place, they would toe in, like instead of being like this, they'd be sitting like this, or I'm sorry, like this, and it just looked horrible. So what I did to remedy that is I went ahead and used some wire cutters, cut the axle in half, and then I used some tubing, specifically in this case 1/8 inch or 0.125 diameter 3.2 millimeter tubing to basically just bridge the gap between the two pieces. I got some just standard super glue and used that to secure it in. So the wheels don't rotate. I don't care about that. Never wanted them to begin with. This is just going to be a static shelf model. But it gets it to the proper stance, and everything basically is fitting as it should. So obviously I've not had the chance to do a test fit with the body to make sure. Hopefully everything works from that perspective as well. If not, I'll have to kind of bust those out. The other thing, as you can see here, got finished up was I run the pipe. It's that same 1/8 inch diameter pipe, super glued here on this end, and then just super glued here on this end. So as you can see, a little shininess through here. Once I get these painted in, the exhaust color as well as the outer tips here, I'll go back through with the Flory Models weathering wash just to get it with the airbrush and just get it kind of locked into place, and use that to kind of dull these down here so you don't have the glossy spots of the super glue. But overall, I'm loving how the bottoms turned out. I'm glad that I went ahead and actually just redid those, and it just looks a whole lot better. So the other thing that I was able to get finished up is pretty much the interior. Not too much left to go. Got the fire extinguisher in, the gear shifter is in place there. Now the seat belts is kind of weird because of the fact that there is an overlap on the belt. Let's see if I can point it out here. So right in through here is a part of the belt that basically would be used to pull down to tighten it. Let me see if I can brighten that up at all. Helps a little bit. There we go. So you can see that point that's just kind of hanging straight down. For some odd reason, even though they were molded in opposite directions, with the detail of the buckle, it made it to where the only way to mount it to where they both hung the way that they would is like that. So it makes it look a little odd. I went ahead and just did it that way though, and basically what I'll just kind of state is the fact that they just pushed that one buckle off to the side, and he just happened to pull that one a little bit closer to him. So like I said, it looks very odd, and to be honest, like, you probably could go through and replace out the buckles with modern day, but once this is in, like, this is all you're gonna see is maybe that much there, and it just, to me, was not worth the extra time, especially for something that is just a shelf model, something that's not uber detailed. So the other thing I went ahead and did was I just did a test with a decal that I wasn't going to use. just to kind of see how they laid down, how they stuck, make sure that they worked okay, and seemed like they did. I'm going to go ahead and upload an additional part here before I get started tonight on the decals themselves. So if you want, you can check that out. Because finding a couple of the contingency decals was kind of a challenge. But as you can see, pushing right along. Happy with the progress we've got in thus far. As you can see, the air cleaner did come off. I had to get an aftermarket air cleaner, and I have a feeling that it was resin instead of plastic. Just a cheap eBay purchase. And the reason why I believe it was resin is even with pure styrene here on this end, it just doesn't want to stick that well. Usually with extra thin, once it a week or two's gone off, everything's pretty much locked together. But it just hasn't wanted to stick. So, like I said, I believe that most likely that's due to the fact that it was a resin part, and it was just a little bit of the plastic just lightly adhering to it. But that's fine. What I'll do is once I've got that on, use some super glue, which for me, I just go ahead and purchase these little tiny, I think it's like 0.01 ounce little things of super glue, because of the fact that they don't go off. Or I mean, I've always had super glues go off in the containers for me, and at least that way I don't waste as much. I'm only wasting a tiny little container, and it's about the same amount as a normal tube of super glue. So it's just what I use. Well, like I said, I'll have a video right after this that will be on the decals themselves, and then we'll get to finishing up the body, getting that ready to go and decaled up tonight. So the third video, or the last update video, will be kind of a shot of the whole body decaled up and ready to get kind of final assembly done here within the next week. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this series so far. I've really enjoyed getting back to the bench. Again, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to comment below. See you in a bit.